people? How we doing today? We got Marge in the house. Bro, I just do that to make you guys laugh because it's so absurd to hear a man do a meow thing, dude. What's that all about? Anyway, day 24. Boom, boom, boom. We're getting it, people. We're getting it. How you doing today? I'm glad you're here because we're got full energy. Full energy today. Check in with yourself. Are you pumped? Are you excited? You taking that Ray pill? If not, you better do it. Come on now. You got to get that hurricane going, okay? Got to keep that internal locus of control strong. Exert power. Be proactive in your life, not reactive. Shit sandwiches are for the birds. We don't want none of that stuff. Come on. All right. So we excited today. We excited. We really excited today. We got the fun stuff coming up for the weekend. We got the stickers that are dropping. People are getting their stickers and they're happy about it. Hopefully it just puts a smile on people's faces because that's what it's all about, people. When's the last time you got something in the mail that was completely unexpected, that was a little note from a bro with a little something to put a smile on your face? When's the last time you got that? I was trying to think back the other day. When's the last time I got one of those? I'll tell you what it was. I got this here. I got these pictures from CK. That was fantastic. And then I got this right here, this postcard from Ric Flair's hair. The man, he was over there in France doing his thing. Then I got this stuff from Arvid right here. And then I got something really cool from Ben right here. So stuff that I get from people, I throw it up on the wall. So if anybody sends me stuff that's awesome, most of it is. I mean, I can't think of anything I haven't gotten that isn't awesome. And that's the way it should be. You've got to be excited about that. You know what I mean? I'll throw it up on the wall. I got a couple more things coming that I'm going to put up on the wall. You know what I'm saying? So I'm pumped about that, people. That's what we want. We want connections with other people that we're excited about. Okay? You want to be excited about it, man. You know, you remember when you were younger, you had your couple of friends that you were always pumped to see. And then there was always that one kid that your mom made you hang out with, you know, that you're like, oh, hey, what's going on? You know, like that kid that, you know, your mom is friends with her mom, with his mom, and his mom is like rich or whatever. And so, you know, they invite your mom over and she likes it. And then she says, hey, why don't you hang out with so-and-so? And, you know, next time she goes over to their nice house with their nice tea and their nice little cookies, right? And she brings you to go play with him. You know what I mean? When you're like 11 or 12 and you're just like, hey. You know, and for you, you don't care about any of that stuff. You just know that you have to go and you have to do what your mom wants you to do and hang out with this guy who's an absolute fucking retard. You know, he's over there wiping his nose, getting his glasses, you know, and he's been sheltered his entire life, and he hasn't ever grown, you know, in his social identity to understand, you know, the social cues and how to interact with other people and other kids. And so you have to go over there and fucking basically serve time in that jail cell while your mom and chit chats with the rich lady with the nice things and what, and your mom's all excited, drinking her coffee, eating. Oh, are these cookies from France? Oh, are these English crumpets? They're so good. Where's this coffee from? You said Colombia? Oh, so good. And you're over there like, fuck, when are we gonna get out of here? Then you're finally excited, and mom promised, hey, if you hang out with this kid, man, I'm gonna take you to Burger King Kids Club after this, you know. So you're in the car, you're all amped to go. You're like, yeah, Burger King Kids, I did my duty. Where's my reward? And then your mom says, that was great. So next week we'll do it again. You're just like, damn it, what the hell? But anyway, so you want to be around relationships that you're excited to see, man. You want to have those, you know, things come in the mail that you're excited for. Those nice surprises that brighten your day and completely change your week. You know what I mean? That's what we want. That's what we want to be all about. Proactive life, not a reactive life, people. Now, we were talking the other day about making that critical eye your ally and not your foe. Okay? That's something else we want to talk about. That's super important. And you know, as soon as you can master it in your creativity, you can go ahead and deploy that into all the areas of your life, you know? So you don't feel compelled, well, I better go hang out with that kid because you don't have no friends and nobody else is hanging out with them and it's my responsibility. Fuck no. Get that out of there. That fella, he gonna have to go through some tough time in life to figure out how he has to change in order to come assimilate into people to be enjoyable. You see what I'm saying? Oh, I guess I better read Isom 1 because I bought it. Fuck no, man. I bought it. I made a mistake. Put that shit on the shelf and leave it there. Don't go do homework. Do what gets you excited, man. You know, that's why I always make them jokes about cocaine and hookers and all that kind of stuff, right? Because that's the idea of excitement. You're going to go out into the club, right? And you got all these women dancing around in short skirts. Got all these guys over here and, you know, over here. It's exciting. I remember when I was in college, you know, and when I was my freshman year, it was probably one of the greatest years I've ever experienced. And that was because I was put in a dorm, you know, and all the guys in the dorm on my floor became my brothers. And for that whole year, it was fantastic. And their relationships were tremendous. And, you know, it was awesome. And you could just go right next door and, you know, you were watching a movie. Or the door after that, they were playing video games, you know, online. Or the door after that, they were trying to get their homework done for a class that maybe you were going to take next semester or trimester or whatever. Because we were in quarters next trimester. Or you go to the door next door and they just had pizza delivered. And you want a piece of pizza, you could have a piece of pizza. And you could walk in and out with no reservations, no obligations, and you could go wherever you wanted to go. It was tremendous. The stimulus and the stimulation of that was off the charts, and it was fantastic. And, you know, I still think about all those guys, and all those guys are my friends. You know, I still think about them all, and they have all gone out in their life, right? Well, then, you know, next year comes around, sophomore year, and of course everybody rushed fraternities, right? So they all went and got into their fraternities. I didn't rush a fraternity because I just didn't want to. You know, it wasn't my thing. Whatever. So I rushed all the fraternities because they were all cool people and they all had free stuff. And, you know, they took you out to Outback Steakhouse a couple times, got a couple free dinners, and that was awesome. Especially, I mean, you know how it is. You're freshman in college and you're tired of eating ramen or what, a cafeteria meal. So that, you know, Outback Steakhouse, big deal back then. You know what I'm saying, people? They take you out to Texas Roadhouse. That's even nicer. You're like, woo woo, you know. So then you're all pumped about that. Anyway, I just didn't rush one. So sophomore year, I got put in a different dorm or whatever, sophomore dorm. And there was just a small amount of people. I went to a small private engineering school, Rose-Hulman, up in Indiana. And, you know, that was okay. But I did notice that all my friends that I had made freshman year were now locked into this fraternity system, right? Of course, I'd see them and I'd wave at them and they'd wave back at me and we'd chit chat and have a good time, but I didn't have access to them anymore. That they were part of the fraternity system now, you know? And so that was very sobering to me and very lonely. And then I go and I'm in my junior year, and of course they're even further along and I'm even more isolated, but by that time, they were no longer the little guy in the fraternity. They were the big guy. So what did they start doing? They started inviting me to all their parties and everything like that, let me in for free, because we were bros, you know? And they still remembered that, and I remembered that too, and I was so excited to see them. And I remember one party in particular that I went to was a Fiji party. Not the island, you know, the fraternity Fijis. And it was so cool because I hadn't been to parties in a while, and I kind of didn't do it because I was kind of like, you know, on the outskirts, and I was, you know, really trying to get through school and stuff like that. And I remember I brought one of my buddies from my dorm or whatever, and they were, bro, all the people that were in the dorms were kind of like, you know, social outcasts, you know, they didn't have very good social interaction or whatever. And so I brought them along with me, and we brought a couple girls. And I remember there was this feeling. We arrived at the party late, and it was in this big mansion, this fraternity mansion. We walked in the door, and the music, you could hear it already from outside. You know, the DJ had his music going. It was all pumping, dancing, everybody. And I remember I had been invited by one of the guys, and he put me on the list to get in, and then whoever I was with. So it was like big deal, right? Big deal. Ooh, ooh. All the girls were like, ooh, big deal, big deal. But, you know, whatever, it didn't really matter to me. I just wanted to go and, you know, check it out, whatever, and take the girls, really, you know, and have a date night or whatever. So I didn't really know how I was going to be received, or I thought, you know, I'm just going to slink in the side, you know, get a little drink, you know, and, you know, show the girls some atmosphere, have a good time, you know, help me out with the date or whatever. Anyway, so I'm walking up to the door. I got my buddy behind me, and the girls are with us, and we're walking up the steps to go into the door, and there's all kinds of people outside, you know, drinking, smoking, doing whatever they do, as do people at parties, especially fraternity parties. I hear the music going. I open the door. I walk in on the landing, and there before me is a huge crowd of people, right? Must have been 100 people, something like that. As soon as I walked in, maybe 50 or 60 guys that were dancing on the door saw me walk in, and they all started shouting, "Ray, Ray! Ray, Ray! Ray, Ray!" And I was so shocked by the reception that I got that I paused. I stopped. My brain short-circuited at the welcome that I received. You would have thought I had died and gone to heaven right then and there. And everybody was so pumped to see me. And of course, I had no idea that was going to happen or whatever. And then all the girls that were with us turned to me and, oh my God, you know, they thought I was some sort of celebrity and all this kind of, and it was all my guys from my freshman floor, my freshman days, that we had built those relationships. And that excitement and that genuine desire came out of them just like that because they were so happy to see me and I was so happy to see them. And it was tremendous. And those are the kind of relationships that you want, people. Those are the kind of relationships that you want to look for, that you want to lock into, that you want to invest in, okay? That memory stay with me my entire fucking life. Whenever I'm having a hard time or I'm down on myself or whatever, I think about that memory and those relationships. That even after a year or two, that those guys would still have that kind of energy for me and that excitement to see me because of how we bonded and the things that we had done and struggled through our freshman year in college on the floor together. It was the baseball team, you know. I played baseball in college, and they were all baseball on the baseball team, and all the Fiji guys, you know. And it was tremendous. It was fantastic, and I'll cherish that memory for the rest of my life, you know. So that's what I'm saying when I'm saying genuine desire. Invest in those kind of relationships. You're not a child anymore. Don't be locked into obligation. Fuck that shit. You know what I'm saying? Throw that out. You know, let's get after it. Let's get after the cocaine. Let's get after the hookers. Let's get after the tequila. Let's get after the real stuff that generates passion, emotion, excitement, and throw off the mantle of obligation that keeps us locked in a cage where the parasites can suck our energy out of us so that they can go and have the cocaine, the hookers, and the tequila. Now, of course, I don't really mean that. Maybe I do, but I don't really mean the cocaine, obviously. It's just a euphemism for things that are really drive passion and excitement that the society says, oh, you better not do that. Oh, you better stay away from that. Oh, you better, you know, that's not how an adult handles himself. No. Throw all that out the window. Go take the reins of your life and fucking whip those horses and you go where you want to go, you know. Imagine that they're Pegasuses and they climb and take you up into the sky, into the sunset, and you go there, okay? People might, behind you, try to be a crab to pull you back, but light the motherfuckers on fire and torch the sky and just go, you know, and let the sun set, you know? So that's what I would say. That's how we're trying to make the critical eye our ally. Because as soon as you make that critical eye your ally, you got all the firepower in the world to make that happen, you know? Because that critical eye then becomes the engine. It's an engine of obsession that is generated from the ether that just pushes you forward. Okay? Now that's a lot of woo-woo right there, but that's the real story. That's the real deal, you know? Have you ever tried to stop the waves from crashing on the beach? You can't. They're going to outlast you. Have you ever tried to stop an addict from being an addict? You can't. They're always going to be an addict. There's always going to be an obsession, a hole to fill until they choose otherwise. You see what I'm saying? Now that is a perpetual energy machine right there. So if you can create a perpetual energy machine inside of yourself, then endurance doesn't matter. It's out the concept of endurance is out the door because it's infinite, right? It's going to go forever. That's what I'm talking about. That's the shit that we're building inside of ourselves in order to, you know, shoot our energy like a laser beam to cut through everything. You know what I'm saying? And to break down these artificial supports of this bullshit that's around us that isn't even real. That is only going because we are allowing our energy to be channeled away from our laser beam into helping them to keep this artificial crap going. So think about that, okay? That's what we're doing. That's what artwork is. It's heavy. It appears soft, but it's heavy. Why do you think they don't want nobody to do artwork? Why do you think they don't want nobody to struggle and refine their mind? Why do you think they're dropping all this AI stuff and all these AI movies and everything? Oh, give all the decisions to the AI. Oh, give all the decisions to these other people so that they can do it for you and entertain you. And don't you understand that entertainment is a trap? It's a slavery. It's a consumer-based product that puts you in a chair and you think you're getting special treatment, but no, bitch, you're strapped in. You're not getting up. They're putting spoonfuls of this shit in your mouth. And you ain't got nothing to say about it, because as soon as you say, "Oh, I don't want it anymore," 5 seconds later, you're opening your mouth and getting another spoonful. That's where that impulse control comes in. All right, that's where discipline comes in. The only way you're ever gonna be able to get it is through the passion, the dopamine hit, the rush, the pure cocaine of creativity. Creativity is cocaine. You get what I'm saying? So that you can propel your life forward and win. For you, not for society. It's not your obligation to wake people up or to help society. Fuck that shit. It's your obligation to have a fantastic life, to be free, and to be a resonator, to elevate the lives of the people that you love and care about. That's your responsibility. That's it right there in a nutshell. Okay? You got me? Do that. All that shit I just said, do it. All right, so now we're gonna move on to the long part, the demonstration, right? So if you could jump down to camera 2 real quick, throw me up in the corner. Check this out, okay? Now we got these. We selected this thumbnail right here. This is the one that we're gonna be doing, and I just quickly inked it out real quick right here. I just use simple shapes and simple forms. Now you might be thinking, "Oh, Ray, how come you didn't shade it? And how come you didn't do?" I'm gonna wake up our watercolors real quick while we have a little bit more of a talk. How come you didn't do all that cross hatching and all that kind of stuff, which is really cool and fun to do with comic books? And that, I personally love all that cross hatching. I do, I love it. But I can't cross hatch. I have to leave the shapes open, like in the bicep here, because I'm going to use watercolor over here. See what I'm saying? If I use the watercolor and I put all that cross hatching and all those shapes inside of there, then the ink repels the watercolor and I can't get smooth washes, okay? So, oh, I didn't mean to do that. I made a mistake. Maybe we'll do it anyway. All right, here we go. It's a happy mistake. You never know, right? But what I'm trying to say, people, is that if you want to, you can draw with pencil, and then do the watercolor, and then come back and do the ink on top of it. But I'm going to give you a warning. Your paper is going to act different after it has watercolor on it. The ink is going to flow different. So you might want to experiment with that first. The ink flows a lot faster when there's watercolor on the paper. It for some reason it doesn't sink into the threads or the weave of the paper as easily as it does when it's free of watercolor. So it comes out a lot faster, it spreads a lot faster, it gets a lot heavier a lot quicker. So be aware of that if you're going to watercolor first and ink on top of it. That's why I like to ink on the bottom, watercolor on top, and then I just use the watercolor to add all my details that I want. That's my strategy for it. Okay, so let's take a look at this. We got our first thumbnail, so this is what we're going to do. All right. Now, before you start, I want you to think about what your goals are. All right? My goal is to be happy in life. Now, bitch, that's not the goals I'm talking about, right? I'm talking about your visual goals for your watercolor you're about to do, okay? Goal number 1, the apple has to be the primary focal point initially, right? So what does that mean? That means that the apple has to be one of the darkest darks, and next to the apple has to be one of the lightest lights. Okay, great. Goal number 2, Super Killer, this guy in the front, has to be in the front, so he has to be the warmest, and he has to also be the most chromatics, the most saturated in colors. Great. Goal number 3, I want to put a contrast between the second character, which is Green Arrow, and the sky back here, which I'm going to make an orange, and he's going to be a green. So I got to keep all that in mind, okay? So we're going to take our biggest brush, and we're going to start. Now, we're not going to finish this today. My whole goal was to break it into 2 or 3 sittings of 30 minutes, because you're only doing 30 minutes a day. And then we're going to build that into a finished piece. Okay, that's my goal. So what are my goals that I want to get accomplished today? Well, I want to get the basic colors put in. Just the placeholders. They're not the final colors, the placeholders. The warm and the cool. And I want to get a basic tone. Okay, so that's all we're going to do today. Then we're going to let that motherfucker sit. And then tomorrow we're going to come back and push it further. And then if we don't finish it tomorrow, we're going to do it a third day and push it even further to get to the completion that we want so that it can be a success. Okay? So I know the easiest thing is going to be the fact that I know that I want Super Killer's colors to be yellow. Right? That's easy, right? So we're going to go ahead and just get some yellow. We're going to come in here. We're going to paint the areas yellow that we need to be yellow. All right? And we're going to paint the warmest warm, which is going to be this yellow, right here on his arm, like so, okay? Now he kind of has a little, this is black over here. Yeah, that's going to be black right there. So we're going to go ahead and do this like so, okay? Now, I know I talked a lot, so I'm going to try and go through this rather quickly. Now, the other thing too is he's going to be all bloody, right? With all that texture. Well, don't worry. The texture is the last thing we do, people. We do texture last. We get everything first. So these are just going to be the base colors. I'm not even worried about value yet. Don't worry about value, okay? First, we have to establish the base colors, okay? The base colors, the base colors. That's what we have to establish first, okay? And so we're going to get him up in here like so. I get this like so. Great. Got that base yellow down, okay? Now I'm going to grab the medium brush. And I know that apple has to be red, but I'm going to grab a watered down version of the red. Now I'm going to do some other tones in the red, but I'm going to paint the apple red. I'm going to leave a white spot though, okay? Like, you know, a reflection. So it looks like it's round, okay? So I'm going to leave a little bit of reflection like that. And that's kind of how I'm going to do that right there, right? Right. All right, now the Super Killer, I want him in his dark area to be blue. Now, why do I want it blue? Because sometimes the reflection in black looks blue, and we can go back later and do a black over the blue. Okay, you got what I'm saying? And leave the blue parts light and to show through to be the reflection. You get what I mean? So this is just kind of going to be an underpainting, just a placeholder to hold the place of what's going on. Oh, I think that cuff has to be yellow. So let's change that real quick. Yeah, the cuff has to be yellow. I'm trying to be accurate over here, people. Got to be accurate, okay? So we're going to go and we're going to get the blue, and we're just going to throw that down right here, okay? So, bam, we got the blue. Bam, we got the blue, right? Okay? Now, also, the gun is going to, I'm going to make the gun black, you know, so we'll go ahead and put the blue down here with the gun. Make the gun black. These are just placeholders, but they're the light placeholders, okay? Light action placeholders. Now, the arrows, I want to make the I don't know, what's that thing called on the back? The quiver or whatever? I don't know. The thing on the feathers on the back of the arrows, I want to make them different colors because I want you people to think, hey, maybe the arrows, the different color arrows are doing different things, right? Because green arrow, he shoots different color arrows. I don't know. Also, I want to make green arrow. He's going to end up being green, but he's going to be a blue green. So we're going to go up here. We're just going to paint his whole body this blue. Okay? Paint the whole body blue. No big deal. We're having a good time, right? We're having a good time, right? Having fun. Be a little bit like Bob Ross. Happy accidents, people. Happy accidents. I think that's a Jack Nicholson Bob Ross. You know, maybe that was Bob Ross's true form. I don't know. Okay. Then we're gonna do is we're gonna grab some of this orange, mix it with the purple, so you have this cool wash that I had from the other day when I was doing the thumbnails. I just left it on there, so we're just gonna use it today for a little bit of the background of the sky. Okay. This is gonna be the sky right here. All right. And we're just gonna do the whole. Can you see? No, you can't see. The whole of the sky. All right, and that building too. Just don't worry, we can come back later and cool down that building. We can cool it down, but right now we're just gonna blend everything into the sky. And then this is a wall right here. I don't know if you can see that, but you'll see it as soon as it pops out. So there's the sky right there. Okay, so now we're kind of working back to front. I'm going to come back in with the bigger brush. Now I'm going to do the building. See, this is a building right here with the roof knocked off, and all this is the rubble in the front. So we're going to come back in and we're going to grab some blue black. Like, I don't even know what color it's supposed to be, but we're just going to go ahead and grab some blue black right here. We're not even going to worry about what the value is or what the temperature is, okay? That's too much to worry about at this point. We're just going to go ahead. Oop, don't want it on that feather. Just going to come in here and oop, don't want it on on that feather. So I'm accidentally getting the feathers wet. So I'm just rubbing my finger over the feathers to get rid of the watercolor. That's what I'm doing there. Just controlling it with my finger. So you just do it real easy. You can move it out the way. That's why I love watercolor. Sometimes you gotta do the undo button, right? So we got more of this blue black, some of this blue black. Now I'm doing the blue black because the black desaturates the blue. You get what I'm saying? So it's not, it goes in the right place, the right order of the channels. The chroma is correct. It's reduced. The saturation is reduced. Chroma and saturation is the same thing. Chroma is just used when you're doing computer work, computer illustrations. And saturation, oh no, saturation is the term used for computer, and then chroma is just used for, like, you know, when you're doing traditional painting. That's how intense the chroma is. Chroma just means color, for those of you who didn't know. So we're just doing this right here, you know. That's a little box on the side of his belt or whatever. Okay, just do that right there and throw a little bit of this in here, right? Oh, I gotta finish that wall in the background above his finger. This is a broken wall, you know. It's a ruin. Like maybe he got thrown through the wall or something, and now Green Arrow's jumped in there, is coming after him or whatever. I don't know. Johnny Rocket's writing the story, not me. I just illustrate. You know what I'm saying, people? Just illustrate. Okay, just illustrating it up, and then right there. Okay, so now we have like a good example of. Let me go ahead and just take a look and adjust anything that needs to be adjusted in here real quick. So now we have a good example of the basic. Right here. I have to move it out of the way because it's pulling up too dark. It's going to be too dark, and I want it to be. I don't want it to pull the water to pull up right there. Pool, P-O-O-L. I know sometimes I say funny words. All right, so now clearly we can see Super Killer in the foreground, right? You can see Super Killer in the foreground. He's got his arrow sticking out of him. And then we have the middle ground, which is the rubble with the wall, with the ceiling right there broken out, with the green arrow right there. Oop, let me go ahead. The green arrow right there, and then the background, which is going to be the sky, which is this red tint. And that's all we're trying to do today, is to separate out the different planes in the image. Okay, the different planes in the image. We got background, middle ground, foreground, right? And then what we did is we only did one layer of paint on the whole thing. We organized the channels in a hierarchy, right? So the main channel that we organized was chroma, or the saturation, right? So it's desaturated, and then saturated right here, and that pops it forward, okay? Bright yellow. Now, that's all we're gonna do for this time. That's the game plan right there, folks. That's basically the game plan, okay? So next time we're gonna do the second layer of watercolor over it, and we're gonna start to organize not only the chroma, the channel of chroma, but the channel of value as well, okay? And also the texture, all right? And then finally, we'll finish the whole thing off and make it look fantastic. We'll put the blood texture on it. We'll put the clouds, make sure the clouds are awesome in the background, and then make sure it reads correctly and do any final adjustments. So that's basically the game plan, okay? So what I want you to do is to get out there, get on your 30 minutes, and just go ahead and do the first level goals, okay? Establish the goals, get them done, make it easy. It's simple. And then as soon as you complete those goals, then the next goals will be simple because you already did the work for the first goals. You see, we take small bites, small steps, and we end in success. Now be successful, be passionate, get out there, let's do it.